Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Elder Scrolls Lore. Today we'll be going over the Septim Bloodline, or the Septim Dynasty. So, just get right down to it, shall we? The number one and the first emperor, we have Tiber Septim, probably the most famous, or one of the most famous. He ruled from year 1 of the Third Era to 38 of the Third Era. He was the founder of the Septim Dynasty and the empire we all know and love, or hate depending on your loyalties to the Stormcloaks. He captured all of Tamriel and began the Third Era with his coronation. He ruled until his death in year 38 of the Third Era, and he was succeeded by his grandson, Pelagius Septim. Upon his death, he ascended into godhood as Talos. The second emperor of the empire was Pelagius Septim. He ruled from year 38 of the Third Era to year 41 of the Third Era. Not a long time. He didn't rule long because he was assassinated by the Dark Brotherhood. We have Kintra Septim, who ruled from year 41 of the Third Era to year 48 of the Third Era. She was the first empress of the empire. She was Pelagius' first cousin and the daughter of Tiber Septim's brother, Agornith. She had a prosperous reign full of good harvests. However, she died of natural causes. Along to the fourth ruler of the Septim Dynasty, we have Uriel Septim I. He ruled from year 48 of the Third Era to year 64. Actually reigning for over longer than a decade, Uriel Septim I promoted lawfulness and the establishment of imperial organizations like the Fighters Guild and the Mage Guild. The fifth ruler here, we have Uriel Septim II, who ruled from year 64 to 82. He was the first emperor to reign during instability. It was full of blights, plagues, and insurrections. Quote, he was a horrible money manager and sank the empire into deep debt. Next, we got Pelagius Septim II, who ruled from year 82 to year 99 of the Third Era. The sixth ruler of the empire, he inherited a massive debt. He dismissed the Elder Council only to allow those who paid a large fee to regain their position. He encouraged all his lords to do the same. He was the emperor to bring the empire back into prosperity. Next, we have Antiochus Septim. He ruled from year 99 to year 119 of the Third Era. He was living one of the more flamboyant lifestyles of the Septim Dynasty. With numerous mistresses and wives, he neglected the empire. Civil war plagued his reign. His forces barely defeated Pandonia and the Somerset Isles in the War of the Isle in year 110 of the Third Era. Next, we have Kintra Septim II, who ruled from 119 to 121 of the Third Era. Holding the title as the 8th ruler, she had the most unhappy reign in the Septim Dynasty. Crowned at age 15, she was imprisoned by her cousin Uriel Septim III, son of Queen Potema, the Wolf Queen as we know her, and this sparked the War of the Red Diamond. Yikes. Next, we have Uriel Septim III, who ruled from year 121 to year 127 of the Third Era. He usurped the throne in 121 during his reign he fought a war with his other cousins. He was captured during the Battle of Itchdog and Hammerfell in year 127 of the Third Era. During his passage to his trial, his carriage was overrun by a mob and he was burned alive. Damn. Septim Septim I took over after Uriel Septim III's reign. He ruled from 127 to 140 of the Third Era. Noted as a kind and intelligent man, his coronation ended the war. He was elected by popular vote as well. He defeated his sister Potema. However, all his children were killed during the war, and he died without an heir. Magnus Septim would eventually take over in 140 to 145 of the Third Era. He was the brother to Sepphoris, and he was an elderly man by the time he got to the throne. During his reign, he spent most of his time punishing traitorous lords and kings during the Civil War. He died of natural causes at age of 66. Sounds nice. Next we have Pelagius Septim III, who ruled from 145 to 143 of the Third Era. Now this is Pelagius the Mad. Oh yeah, probably one of the more famous rulers, obviously, because he is actually in Skyrim. You could see him during the Sheogorath quest. Now, Pelagius the Mad was actually described as a handsome, athletic musician and very good with magic. Now, he seemed to hold a bright future, actually. However, this all went downhill. After the Civil War, he was given the throne of Solitude in Skyrim. He quickly fell into madness, however. He never ruled much. It is said he actually grunted and squeaked to an Argonian ambassador and insisted that was their natural language. He was sent to an asylum on the Isle of Bethany, though, and he died of a fever. Next we have Catria Septim, who ruled from year 154 to 200 of the Third Era. She was the real ruler behind Pelagius III, also his wife. She ran the empire during his madness and was eventually crowned the empire's 13th ruler. Despite her efforts at trying to repairing the damage from previous rulers, her reign is marked as the decline of the Septim Empire because she was a Dumner and she was only a Septim by marriage. This leads now to Cassander Septim, who ruled from 200 to 202 of the Third Era. He was a middle-aged man who had poor health. He was forced to leave his duty as Lord of High Rock to become the Emperor, for he was the last blood relative of Tiber Septim. He died 2 years into his rule. Next we have Uriel Septim IV, who ruled from 202 to 247 of the Third Era. Born Uriel Lariat, he was the son of Catria and her new husband, Galavir Lariat, a Breton noble. Uriel IV was the first ruler, not of direct blood relations to Tiber Septim. His reign was forced to a standstill with little to be accomplished, for the Elder Council had grown too powerful and denied him a lot of power. His son Andorak Septim was even denied the throne by the council when he died. Now we get to Sepphoris Septim II, who ruled from 247 to 268 of the Third Era. He was the 16th ruler of the empire. He was voted into power by the Elder Council after his cousin Uriel Septim IV died. After such, he fought a war between Andorak Septim, which forced him to give up Shornhelm, a city in north-central Hyrak. Andorak's descendants actually still rule there today. He would later face the Camoran usurper, who gathered an undead army to fight Sepphoris II. Defeat after defeat, Sepphoris II finally won a battle in Lilac Bay near Hyrak. However, reports say the only reason he won was because of the weather. Next on the list we have Uriel Septim V, who ruled from 268 to 290 of the Third Era. Regarded as the greatest warrior emperor since Tiber Septim, he led many conquests, the last of which was to the Akavir continent. With several victories claiming Roscrea, Cathnoqui, Yenslia, and Esreniet, his invasion of the Akavir saw him defeated in the Battle of Ionith. Now we get Uriel Septim VI, who ruled from 290 to 320 of the Third Era. Crowned at the age 5, his mother ruled in his stead. He didn't assume powers until age 22. Even then, it wasn't much. The Elder Council held a majority of power, but eventually he gained full power in 313 of the Third Era after maneuvering his way around the political system. He died after falling off his horse. Imagine that. Striving to get power for 23 years to just die falling off your horse. Damn. Next we have Moritha Septim, who ruled from 320 to 339 of the Third Era. Brother to Uriel Septim VI, she finished her brother's job. She went on to quell riots and rebellions. She was a brilliant leader. However, she was assassinated by an Argonian councilman named Thornocles Ramus after she refused to send troops to bolster the defense of Blackmarsh. Now we get Pelagius Septim the fourth. He ruled from 339 to 368 of the Third Era. The nephew of Moritha, he continued his aunt's work and quelled many rebellious provinces. His reign was prosperous and was said to have brought the empire closer to unity it had not seen since the rule of Uriel Septim I. Next we get Uriel Septim VII, who ruled from 368 to 433 of the Third Era. Said to have had the diligence of his great-aunt Moritha, political skill of his great-uncle Uriel Septim VI, and the military prowess of his great-grandfather Uriel Septim V. In 389 of the Third Era, he was betrayed by his battle mage and imprisoned for 10 years. The Eternal Champion would later free him, and he would work to reunite the Empire. However, he would be assassinated by the Mythic Dawn in the wake of the Oblivion Crisis. Lastly on this list, we have Martin Septim, who ruled only during 433 of the Third Era. He was the bastard son of Uriel Septim VII and was a priest. He assumed the throne during the Oblivion Crisis and would later sacrifice himself to stop the crisis, and thus mark the official end of the Septim Dynasty. That's it, guys. That was the Septim bloodline, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this. This has been an incredible list to learning about all the rulers and all the people in the Septim bloodline was incredible, actually. We obviously had some interesting characters like Pelagius the Mad, and we also had some pretty badass characters like Uriel Septim V. Who would have thought, he actually would have ate Akavir. But besides that, I hope you guys enjoy this. If you like this series, please give this a like. If you guys have any suggestions on concepts or factions or people, just events that might not be more known, please let me know. I'll be willing to do a video on it. I'm going to be doing these every Tuesday now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun doing these. These are incredible things to research, and I mean, it is just crazy to learn all this kind of stuff. I really hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you all around. Peace.